Show y'all how I make my chicken and dumplings. The first thing I done was I had a pack of chicken legs that I needed to use up. So I just boiled them with a little bit of salt, pepper, and I always put a little bit of dried thyme in mine as well. I clean the chicken off the bone, make sure not to get any gristles in with the meat. There's nothing worse than eating chicken and dumplings and finding a gristle. Um, for my dumplings, I'm just using about three, about 3 cups of flour and maybe a cup and a half. Right at a cup and a half of buttermilk. You can also add a little bit of a stick of butter in with yours as well. I like bigger dumplings, so that's what I try to make when I make them. And you always got to remember when you're making dumplings, you don't want too big of a boil because I always say that you're going to boil your dumplings away. Just keep it at a slow boil. I usually keep mine on medium high. And I don't roll my dumplings out. I just do the drop dumplings, as you can tell. That's what we always had growing up, so that's just what I've always done. And never stir your dumplings either. You just want to kind of tap them down a little bit. A lot of people are intimidated by chicken and dumplings, but once you learn how to make them, that's it. You'll always remember, and they'll always turn out good. The dumplings will get smaller. I know they're big and fluffy right now, but they'll get smaller as they cook down. I know it looks like a lot in the cooker right now, but it's really not. Like I said, don't stir them. You can tap them down, kind of let the broth get on the tops of them as well. And you can see the fat from the chicken too. Sometimes you don't even need all of the dumpling batter. I'll just tuck them in underneath it, that way they can cook. I usually serve my dumplings with cornbread and maybe green beans as a side. Whatever vegetable that Emma wants that day. Maybe a little too much. I remember Mom and Mama making dumplings when I was a kid, and it was one of my favorite things to eat, and it still is today. Just try to tuck them in under there. Alright, I'm going to give them a second. See, I just take and push them down a little bit. I usually like to use a whole chicken to make the broth, but we already had the chicken legs. I just decided to use that. I was going to put them in the freezer to use later on, but I decided to make some dumplings and cornbread. So we're going to give them a few minutes to cook down. I'll go ahead and put a little pepper in mine. I could just eat the dumplings by themselves. I finally got Emma to start eating chicken and dumplings. I think it was a couple years ago now. As I've told y'all before, she's a picky eater, but it took me years. She wouldn't even try them or anything, and then once she did, that was it. Now she wants them all the time. I know a lot of people put vegetables in their broth, some celery and carrots and onions. I don't do that. I just like the broth from the chicken itself. You just kind of want to push them around. That way the ones that we tucked under can come up to the top too. I do add food coloring to mine. I'm not a big fan of white dumplings, so I usually add yellow food coloring to mine. I'll make a few more here. I think I made too much batter, but I'd rather have too much than not enough, because we love the dumplings. We'll let these cook down, and then in a few minutes we'll add our chicken. I know people like their chicken shredded kind of fine in theirs. I actually like to just take mine off the bone and maybe shred it just, I like the chunks. I like more of the chunks of the chicken in mine. I like to bite into it instead of just trying to skim through the dumplings just to find the chicken, I guess you could say. I remember one time when I was little, we were at my mama's house and Mom was going to make chicken and dumplings. We was having a family get together, and I was probably around 4 years old, 3 or 4, and Mom had a whole chicken, and I remember crying because she told me that she killed the chicken. Well, I cried and cried and cried forever thinking that she had harmed the chicken, because I've always loved animals. But I guess I cried forever over that chicken. I'm just going to move these around a little bit. And give those new dumplings time to cook down. See, I love the big dumplings. We'll get some food coloring. I believe I have some here somewhere. So you just want to push them down a little bit. See, that one still needs to cook more. And you can turn them over, just don't stir them. And if your broth is not thick enough, you can add a little bit of cornstarch. I usually do a little bit of cornstarch in a bowl with water in it and mix it together and add to the broth. But mine's pretty thick, so I'm going to leave it the way that it is for now. add some yellow food coloring. I just kind of guess about how much I need because you never know. Just kind of move them around a little bit. Dustin's mama could make the best dumplings, and she would actually roll her dumplings out and cut them out. And that's some of the best dumplings I've ever ate in my life. We absolutely loved them. That's one thing I definitely miss about her being gone is her chicken and dumplings. Okay, those are cooked down pretty good. So I'm going to add some chicken. I'll start adding it. And I have quite a bit of chicken. I had a big pack of chicken legs, so I'm going to go ahead and add some of the chicken in. And like I said, just don't stir it. Just kind of pick them up a little bit. May need to add a little bit more food coloring as well. Still a little white looking. I need to add a little bit more. I remember one thing me and my friends when I was younger that we would want from my granny, that she's lived beside of us. Well, we lived beside of her since I was in first grade. And we would always, when my friends would come over, we would always want gravy and biscuits and chicken and dumplings. And we talk about that all the time. And no matter what time it was of the day or evening, she would make it. If she had the stuff to make it, she would make it. I've dropped chicken everywhere. That's pretty much all that there is to it. Just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. And like I said, I usually leave my burner on medium to medium high. You don't want a very high boil at all. The dumplings can cook without a high boil. And some of the dumplings will dissolve, but that's okay. It just thickens up your broth a little bit more too. And once I've added my chicken, I just turn my burner down to a simmer. But guys, that's pretty much all that there is to it. If you have any questions, just message me.